What if love began with a lie? What if a Dubai prince, desperate to escape an arranged marriage, paid an African girl to pretend to be his fiancée, only to fall deeply in love with her? Friends, remember to like and subscribe if you enjoy this story. Can love survive when royalty demands obedience and tradition rejects an outsider? When the desert meets the dark soil of Africa, two hearts collide, and a forbidden love dares to bloom against the golden sands. Will they fight for each other, or bow to the power that stands between them? The Arabian sun cast a warm glow over the skyline of Dubai, where towers of glass and gold touched the heavens. In one of those towers, on the 47th floor of a royal penthouse, stood Prince Khalid Al Mansour, the heir to the Emir of Dubai. From his balcony, he watched the city come alive beneath him. The hum of luxury cars, the rhythm of waves along Jumeirah Beach, the whisper of the desert wind, all of it belonged to his world. Yet, deep inside, he felt trapped. Everyone thought Khalid's life was perfect. The world saw a handsome prince, a billionaire investor, and a future ruler whose smile could charm the press. But no one saw the loneliness behind his eyes. Today, his father had called another meeting about his engagement to Sheikha Layla, the daughter of a powerful royal ally. It was supposed to strengthen family ties and political control. But to Khalid, it felt like a golden cage. A marriage of convenience, his father said earlier that morning. A duty to our name. And what of love? Khalid asked. Love comes after duty, his father replied coldly. If it ever comes at all. Khalid left the palace that day determined to find his own freedom, even if it meant breaking every royal rule. Thousands of miles away, in Lagos, Nigeria, Amara Ikenna was stuck between survival and hope. The 25-year-old graduate of economics had dreamed of a good life, of a career, of stability, but life had other plans. Her mother was bedridden with a heart condition, and the bills kept piling up. Amara had sold her jewelry, borrowed from friends, and even taken small cleaning jobs in offices at night just to buy medicine. One rainy evening, while she sat in a cybercafe searching for online jobs, a message popped up. Urgent casting call. Need a confident, graceful African lady for a short international assignment. Must be discreet. Excellent pay. Immediate travel required. She laughed at first, thinking it was a scam. But the agency's logo was real. She Googled it. It had offices in Dubai and London. Her heart raced. She clicked apply. 2 days later, she got a call. A calm British voice said, Miss Ikenna, we have selected you for a client in Dubai. You'll be required to act as his fiancée for a few weeks. It's a private arrangement, all expenses paid. Are you available? Amara froze. Act as his fiancée? That's unusual. Yes, the voice replied smoothly. But legal. Confidential. You'll be well compensated, $30,000 for 3 weeks. Her heart nearly stopped. $30,000 could change her mother's life forever. After a sleepless night of prayer and fear, she packed her bags, whispered goodbye to her mother, and boarded a flight to Dubai. The airport in Dubai felt like another world. The marble floors gleamed. The scent of oud filled the air. When she stepped outside, the desert breeze kissed her skin like soft silk. A tall man in a suit held a card with her name, Miss Amara Ikenna. Welcome to Dubai, ma'am, he said with a polite bow. His Highness awaits. Her heart jumped. His Highness? She was driven through wide roads lined with palm trees, past fountains that glittered in the sun, until they reached a modern palace overlooking the Arabian Sea. Inside, everything shimmered, crystal chandeliers, carved marble columns, soft music echoing from unseen speakers. Then she saw him. Prince Khalid stood by the glass window, dressed in an elegant white kandura, his black hair neatly combed, his eyes the color of desert night. He turned when she entered, and for a moment, time stood still. Miss Amara, he said, his deep voice smooth but warm. Thank you for coming. I hope the flight wasn't too long. She nodded, too stunned to speak. It was. Fine, Your Highness. He smiled faintly. For the next few weeks, you will call me Khalid. This arrangement is between two people, not a prince and a stranger. She tried to smile, hiding her nerves. And what exactly do you need me to do? Pretend, he said simply. Pretend that you're the woman I chose to marry. My parents will believe it. The press will see it. And I will finally be free from their plans. Amara blinked. So you're hiring me to lie? To act, he corrected gently. And when it's over, you'll return home richer and unharmed. I promise you that. Something in his voice, honesty, maybe sorrow, made her agree. All right, Khalid. I'll do it. He smiled, extending his hand. Then let's begin the performance. When her hand met his, an unexpected current passed between them. She tried to ignore it. After all, this was just a job. Wasn't it? But in that single touch, destiny began to write a story no one could have predicted. One that would defy royalty, tradition, and every boundary between two worlds. The first few days were a blur for Amara. She was dressed, styled, and trained by professionals to behave like a royal. A soft-spoken etiquette coach taught her how to greet elders with respect, how to walk beside a prince without overshadowing him, and how to wear a veil gracefully during formal occasions. Yet, despite the glamour, her heart pounded with fear. One mistake, one wrong word, and the entire charade could collapse. Prince Khalid remained calm, always composed, always in control. But Amara could tell he was nervous too. Their first public appearance came sooner than expected, a charity gala hosted by the royal family at the Emirates Palace. The marble floors shimmered under golden light. Camera flashes painted the air. Every eye turned when they entered. Smile, Khalid whispered, his hand brushing hers. You're doing perfectly. His touch steadied her. She smiled, lifting her chin just as the royal photographers captured the moment. The handsome prince with the mysterious African beauty. As the night went on, Amara began to notice things she hadn't before. The way Khalid subtly avoided conversations about his future wedding, the way he looked at her, not like a paid actress, but like someone he admired. When they danced to soft Arabic music, their eyes met. You dance well, he said. You're just being polite, she teased. I've stepped on your foot twice. 3 times, he chuckled. But I'll forgive you if you keep smiling like that. Something fluttered inside her. She quickly looked away. This was a job, a lie. But his laughter lingered in her ears long after the music stopped. Days turned into weeks. They attended royal events, dinners, and private family gatherings. Everywhere they went, the press whispered, "Who is she? Where is she from? Is she truly his choice?" Behind the scenes, Khalid treated her with a kind of gentle respect she had never experienced before. He made sure she ate before any event. He protected her from rude questions. When she felt overwhelmed, he would quietly take her aside and say, "Just breathe, Amara. You belong here as much as anyone." One evening, after a particularly long press conference, they returned to his private villa overlooking the Arabian Gulf. The city lights twinkled in the distance like stars scattered on earth. Amara walked to the balcony, her gown flowing in the wind. "It's beautiful," she whispered. Khalid joined her. "It is. But beauty means little when it's trapped behind walls." She turned to him. "You mean the palace?" "I mean my life," he said quietly. "Every step I take, someone decides it for me. Who I speak to, who I marry, even who I'm supposed to love." Amara looked at him, really looked. For the first time, she saw not a prince, but a man aching to be free. "Maybe," she said softly, "freedom isn't given. Maybe it's something you take for yourself." Their eyes met. The night seemed to hold its breath. He reached out slowly, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. "You speak like someone who knows what struggle feels like." She smiled sadly. "Struggle and I are old friends." For a long moment, they stood in silence, the wind carrying the scent of jasmine and salt. Then Khalid whispered, "You were supposed to act, Amara, but I think you've become the most real thing in my world." Her heart raced. "Khalid, don't say that. This is still a contract." "Maybe," he murmured, "but my heart doesn't understand contracts." Before she could reply, a call came from inside. The king wanted to see him. Khalid stepped away, but his gaze lingered on her. When the door closed behind him, Amara pressed her hand against her chest. The beating was wild, confused, terrified. She had come to Dubai for money. But now, she feared she might lose something far more valuable, her heart. That night, alone in her room, she opened her laptop and typed a message to her mother. Mama, Dubai is beautiful. The people are kind. There's someone here I can't stop thinking about. But I'm afraid. Because none of this was meant to be real. She hit send, closed the laptop, and whispered into the night, Lord, please don't let me fall for a prince who was never meant to be mine. But love, as always, doesn't wait for permission. The illusion of perfection began to crumble the moment the royal court found out the truth. What started as whispers in the palace corridors soon became roaring headlines across Dubai's media. Prince Khalid's fiancée exposed, African commoner hired for deception? Royal family in shock, fake engagement turns to scandal. The next morning, Amara woke up to chaos. Reporters camped outside the palace gates, cameras flashing. Her phone buzzed with calls from unknown numbers. The royal handlers who once smiled now avoided her eyes. When she turned on the TV, her own face appeared on the news, her smile from the charity gala, her name, her country. Everything she had kept private was now public shame. The door burst open. Khalid's personal guard entered. His Highness requests your presence immediately, ma'am. Her hands trembled as she followed him through the marble corridors, her heart pounding. In the royal chamber, the atmosphere was thick with anger. The emir, Khalid's father, sat on the golden chair of counsel. His white robe glistened, but his eyes were cold as ice. Beside him, the queen, elegant yet stern, looked disappointed beyond words. Khalid stood before them, calm but defiant. You brought shame to this house, the emir thundered, slamming his fist against the table. A deception of this magnitude? Do you know what this means for our family's honor? Father, Khalid began. Silence. The king barked. You made a mockery of your duty. You were to marry Sheikha Layla and unite two great houses. Instead, you parade this. Foreign girl before our people? The words pierced Amara like a sword. This foreign girl. Khalid's voice rose, trembling but firm. She's not a mockery. She's the only person who's ever treated me like a human being, not a symbol. And for that, you humiliated your bloodline? The queen cried. She's not one of us, Khalid. She doesn't belong here. Amara tried to speak, but her voice cracked. Your Majesty, please. Enough. The king roared. You will leave Dubai tonight. And as for you, Khalid, your title will be suspended until you correct this mistake. That night, Khalid found Amara in her suite, sitting by the window with tears streaming down her face. Her luggage was already packed by royal order. You should hate me, she whispered. You've lost everything because of me. He knelt before her, taking her hands. I could lose every crown, every privilege, and still, if I have you, I've lost nothing. But your parents, your people, they'll learn. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they will. Because love is not a crime. She shook her head, tears glistening. You're a prince, Khalid. I'm just a girl who came here for a job. I never meant for this to go this far. Amara, he said softly, his voice trembling with truth, you may have come here as part of a lie, but what we found is the only truth I've ever known. He stood and pulled her into his arms. She cried into his chest, her heart torn between love and fear. I don't want you to suffer for me, she whispered. Then don't leave me, he answered. Stay, and let me fight for us. The next morning, Khalid made his choice. He walked into the royal court before dawn, wearing no crown, no royal cloak, just a simple white robe. Before his father, he placed a golden ring that symbolized his position as crown prince. If the throne demands I abandon the woman I love, he said, his voice echoing through the marble hall, then I renounce the throne. Gasps filled the room. The queen sobbed softly. The king stared at his son in disbelief. You would give up your kingdom? For her? For love, Khalid replied. Because no crown is worth wearing if it costs me my heart. Then, before anyone could stop him, he turned and walked out of the palace. Outside, Amara waited by a simple black car, her hands shaking. When he approached, she could barely speak. You did it? She whispered. Yes, he said quietly. I'm no longer a prince. Tears fell down her cheeks. Khalid, I never wanted you to lose everything. He smiled faintly. I didn't lose everything, Amara. I found you. He opened the car door, took her hand, and together they drove away from the palace lights, into the uncertain darkness of freedom. That night, in a small apartment overlooking the quieter side of Dubai, Khalid and Amara sat together, holding hands as the city glowed in silence below. No guards, no servants, no royal titles. Just two hearts, finally free. But as the desert wind howled outside, Amara couldn't shake the fear that their love, so pure and so costly, might not be safe for long. And she was right, because power never surrenders easily. 5 years had passed since that stormy night when Prince Khalid walked away from his father's palace and chose love over royalty. Dubai had changed, but so had he. The man once known as His Highness Prince Khalid Al Mansour now lived as Khalid Mansour, founder of the Golden Bridge Foundation, an organization dedicated to building schools and hospitals across Africa and the Middle East. He had traded royal titles for honest work, lavish palaces for peace, and fame for family. And by his side, always, was Amara, the woman who had turned a lie into a lifetime of love. Their home sat on the edge of the Arabian Sea, far from the city's blinding lights. The house was simple but beautiful, white marble walls, palm trees whispering by the poolside, and wide windows where the ocean kissed the sky. That morning, Amara stood on the balcony, her hair gently brushed by the sea breeze. In her arms were two little miracles, twin babies barely a year old. Their names were Aisha and Zuri, meaning life and beautiful, one Arabic, one African. Two souls born of two worlds. Khalid came up behind her, wrapping his arms around her waist, resting his chin on her shoulder. "They have your smile," he whispered, gazing at the twins. "And your stubborn eyes," Amara teased. He chuckled softly. "Then they'll grow up unstoppable." The babies giggled, waving their tiny hands in the air as if blessing the moment. For the first time in years, peace felt real. But even peace has echoes of the past. One evening, as Khalid sat in his study reading emails, his phone buzzed. It was an unknown number, but the voice on the other end was unmistakable. "Khalid," the voice said. "Father." Khalid froze, his chest tightening. 5 years without a single call. Not a letter. Not a word. "I heard you have children," the emir said, his voice quiet, almost uncertain. "Yes, father. Twin girls. Your mother and we would like to see them." Khalid was silent for a long moment. "Are you sure?" "You are still my son," the emir said, his tone softening. "Perhaps time has shown me what pride could not." The next day, the royal convoy arrived. Amara stood by the door, her hands trembling as black cars lined their driveway. She wore a flowing cream abaya, her heart pounding with memories of the rejection that once broke her. Khalid took her hand. "Whatever happens today, remember, you are my queen." The doors opened. Out stepped the emir and his wife, the queen, older, gentler, humbled by years of reflection. The sight of their son holding an African woman and two mixed-race babies softened the queen's stern expression. Amara bowed respectfully. "Your Majesties." The queen hesitated, then reached out her hands. "Please, my daughter." No need for formality. Tears filled Amara's eyes as the queen gently took one of the babies from her arms. "What is her name?" "Aisha," Amara whispered. "And her sister is Zuri." The queen smiled, cradling the child. "Beautiful names. They carry both your worlds." The emir watched quietly. "Khalid," he said finally, "I was wrong to think love could be dictated. Seeing your family, I realize now, honor means nothing without happiness." Khalid's eyes glistened. "It means everything that you're here." The emir stepped closer, placing a hand on his son's shoulder. "Your daughters carry the future of 2 continents in their veins. I will not deny them their heritage, or you your birthright." Amara looked at Khalid in disbelief. "Does that mean?" "Yes," the emir said. "Return to your place, my son. With your wife and children. The royal house is open to you again." Tears welled in Amara's eyes as she whispered, "Thank you, your Majesty." That night, as the royal family dined together for the first time in years, laughter filled the palace once again. Little Aisha clapped her hands on the golden table. Zuri played with her grandfather's beard, making him laugh like a boy. Even the queen wiped her tears when Amara handed her a traditional Nigerian meal she had prepared. "It's called jollof rice," Amara said with a shy smile. "It smells divine," the queen replied, tasting it. "And it tastes like love." Khalid took Amara's hand under the table, squeezing it gently. "You see?" he whispered. "You've won their hearts." She smiled, tears glimmering. "No, Khalid. We did." Later that night, when the palace was quiet, Amara stood on the balcony with Khalid. The moonlight shimmered on the desert horizon, reflecting on the ocean like molten silver. "Do you ever regret giving up your crown?" she asked softly. He smiled and kissed her forehead. "How can I regret it, when love placed a greater crown on my heart?" She leaned into him, her head against his chest, listening to the steady rhythm of his heartbeat, the sound that had once defied a kingdom. Inside the nursery, Aisha and Zuri slept peacefully, their tiny breaths filling the room with promise. Two worlds had once stood apart. Now they were joined, in love, in forgiveness, in legacy. The desert prince had found his forever queen. And their daughters, the twins of two worlds, would grow up knowing that love, not lineage, is the truest royal blood.